Hey everyone, Josh Rogers here with Men's Wellness North Alabama. Hey, I wanted to go over the injection process for our HCG, Sermorelin, and any other subcutaneous injection. So how to identify the medicine, how to store the medicine, and how to inject it yourself, and then what to do afterwards. So if you have any questions, please follow us up with the clinic. Of course, this video is just to augment what we've already went over with your training. If you ever want to come back in, just schedule a time, or you can just come in. A lot of times we can just fit you into the schedule. All right, so the first thing we'll talk about is just the proper storage of your medication. So these medicines are peptide based, so they're not nearly as robust as testosterone. So the main thing you want to do there is just you want to avoid shaking them. So you don't want to shake the medicines up. This actually can denature those proteins and make them not work nearly as well. So they also do fine at just room temperature. However, we'll want you to keep this medicine, both of these kinds of medicines, inside the refrigerator for that reason. Obviously, you want to keep these out of reach of any children, to include your syringes or anything like that. They may get curious, especially if they see you doing those. And then if you want to travel with your medications, just contact your airline, but typically it's not an issue. I've flown with the medicines actually drawn up into the syringes there, and I've not had any issues with those, but just contact your airlines. Maybe the policies have changed since you've traveled. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about when to take these medicines, because these medicines actually matter the timing of day that you take it. So typically with an HCG injection, we want you to take that first thing in the morning, okay? So when you wake up in the morning before you go to work, or if you're a night shift guy and you need to take it when you're coming off night shift, we just need to keep it in the AM actually. The main reason for that is we want to just mimic the natural cycle of your testosterone production, and an injection in the morning optimizes that. The difference here is, let's say you're on Sermorelin or any other the growth hormone secretologs, we actually want you to take those in the evening before bed on an empty stomach. So the reason for that is because that's going to most promote your normal circadian rhythm of production of growth hormone and release it in the evening time. It also takes advantage of your insulin production, and it may aid in some additional body composition promotions if you're taking it in the evening before bed. So HCG is typically done in the morning. In the growth hormone secretolog like Sermorelin is done in the evening. All right, so first let's just kind of go over and orient you to the medication. Typically the medicines will come in something like this, so just a box like this. So if you open that up, you're probably going to get 2 bottles, okay? You're going to get a bacteriostatic water, so you're going to mix this with the medication. It's in a powder form here. So it's pretty tough as long as you don't mix it. So once you mix it, the medicine will become active. So you'll need these. Typically it'll come with a 10 ml syringe with a needle attached to it. So you'll get one of these. And then you'll obviously need your insulin syringes and a sterile alcohol pad just to get it nice and clean. And then preferably you need a storage container or otherwise that we'll go over here in a minute. All right, so there's a couple areas where you can actually do your injections. Subcutaneous is just into the fat somewhere, but generally speaking, the places that you want to go, we'll put a diagram up here in a second, but is around your belly button, so called the periumbilical area. That's generally a great place. Or you can pinch a little fat in your tricep and go there too. I think that one hurts, but it's perfectly fine to do it that way. You just want to alternate the sides of the body. So whatever side that you pick, I generally pick it around the belly button area. Just don't pick the exact same spot every time. Just move it from left and right, from left to right, and just kind of move it around the area a little bit. So that way you don't just develop kind of a lump, which you can do over time if you're doing the exact same spot each time. So, all right. So first thing we have to do is reconstitute the medication, right? So reconstituting the medicine just means we're going to mix water with the actual medication bottle. All right. So to do that, they come with these little caps. You just pop the cap. You're going to pop the cap. Still want to clean the tops of these bottles. So just take your alcohol pad and you're just going to rub the top with both mechanical and the alcohol, which is disinfecting, to both sides. Same thing. You just want to let it dry. So it'll have like a shimmer to it. So wait for that shimmer to completely evaporate, and then it's actually clean and safe to use. So we'll do that. So what you want to do is look at the instructions on the box. It typically will tell you mix, 10 mLs of bacteriostatic water with the medication, or it may say something different on there. If you need us to clarify there, if you're unsure, just contact us, call, text, or just stop by and we'll help clarify that for you. So just, if you have any questions, just let us know. But in this case, it's 7.5 mLs of bacteriostatic water, with the actual medication. So I'm going to move the plunger back and forth, and I'm going to find 7.5. So it's just this, between the 7 and the 8, 7.5 of air into that syringe. Okay. So I'm just going to take this needle, I'm going to plunge it into the center of this bottle here. So just like this, be careful not to poke yourself. I'm going to push the water into the bottle and then pull it back out. All the way up to 7.5. So if you get need a little bit more, there's not enough air in there, or too much air, just push it back in, then go back out. So there we go, 7.5. In this case, there is a little bit of water left in the bottle. That's okay, because there's a specific concentration that we want inside of the medication. So now that this one's clean, we're just going to mix it up. Same thing. Just going to push this in there, and we're just going to add the water. Just push all of it in there, turn it back over, and pull it out. There may be a little bit of overpressure there, it's no big deal. In this case, you don't want to shake it, okay? You're just going to swirl it. Just going to swirl it back and forth, and then we're going to wait for a period of time to where this medicine is completely dissolved in here. You should be able to pull this up into the light or something, and you should see it straight through it. You shouldn't see any particles in there. If you do, it has not mixed enough yet. So I'm just going to kind of gently roll it from back to forth and roll side to side. Then we're just going to let it sit, to the side for a period of time. All right, so let's talk about how to draw up the medication. So let's just confirm the prescribed dose, which is labeled on the bottle. So in this case, I'm going to inject 0.25 mLs subcutaneously every evening. All right, so that's what we're going to do in this case. So we confirm the dose. So now we need 0.25 mLs into this syringe. So we have our medication. I've already looked at it up through the light. I can see that there is nothing still needs to be dissolved. It's completely dissolved, just water. Same thing, alcohol pad. We have our syringe and a Band-Aid. You typically don't need a Band-Aid for subcutaneous injection. They very rarely bleed, but I'll just include one here. All right, so we'll start with the same way that we did with everything else. So the top of this is not clean at this point, so let's do that. So we're gonna grab our alcohol pad and we're just gonna clean the top again. So you're gonna add some pressure to the top where the actual rubber piece, and we're just going to clean it back and forth a little bit. You'll see that it needs to evaporate. So during that evaporation process, it'll be kind of shiny, and as that goes away, it'll be ready for use then. All right, while that's drying, this is an insulin needle. It's slightly different than our typical syringe. You can't take the top of it on and off like you can, let's say like a testosterone injection. But these are much smaller and you can barely feel them, right? So same kind of thing, you just want to make sure the plunger is moving back and forth. We're going to add the same amount of air that we want of medication dose. So in this case, it's 0.25. So you can see these are in units. which is slightly different. So this whole thing together is 1 ml or 1 cc, this whole entire thing, right? So 0.25 in this case will be at the 20, between the 20 and the 30. So that right there is 0.25, right? So we'll take that. We're going to spike the bottle in the same way that we did otherwise. So push this in there. You'll add the air, right? And then we're just going to pull back on that plunger. Give it a little bit of time. It's really small, so pull it back a little bit too far, and that'll make sure there's no air in it. Then you'll just advance it forward to the 2.5, or excuse me, the 0.25, and you pull it out. So right here, you'll see that this is 0.25 mLs of the medication. So at this point, we're just going to set it aside and get ready for the actual injection. All right, so at this point, let's prepare the injection site and then go ahead and do the injection. So the first thing, again, you want to do is take a look at your box of medication and confirm the dose that you're on. So again, for me, this is a 0.25 ml injection. So I've confirmed that's on the bottle. I've got 0.25 in my syringe here. So first thing I'm going to do is just confirm the injection site. So I'm going to take my belly button, right, and pretty much go around the belly button. So I'm just going to pinch some of my fat, which I happen to have plenty, which is great. Take the alcohol pad here. I'm going to create that platform. I'm just going to take a little pinch of it. You see that little pinch? I'm going to go in a circle. I'm going to let it dry. So I'm going to hold, I'm just going to kind of hold it in the same kind of way, just like this. And I'm just going to put direct pressure into the area and just push it directly in. So I've got my platform. I'm just going to push it directly in there. 1, 2, go. Barely can feel that. And then you're just going to push the plunger in nice and slow. And then push it back out. Set it aside. It very rarely bleeds. And then you're done. Too easy. All right, guys, so we just completed our injection. So we have the spent needle, so we need to get rid of it. In this case, I have a sharps container at the office. Simply just drop it in here, close it, and you're done. It's very safe. If you don't have one of these, you can get it at the pharmacy, but you can also use maybe a Gatorade bottle or a laundry detergent bottle. That's a hard plastic. Just don't use like a cheap water bottle, because the needle will just go straight through that. So we really want to protect our trash service folks. We don't want them to get poked because they don't know if you're carrying infectious disease or not. So just be very respectful of them. You're always welcome to bring your spent needles to us at the office, and I'll dispose of them for you as well, okay? So now that we've done the injection, there are a couple things I at least want to mention. So subcutaneous injections are very rare to get infections, but it's still possible, okay? So you want to look for redness, swelling, pain, discharge. So that's going to be like anything white, milky coming out, and maybe even be feverish. If you have any concerns about any of those, call the office. We typically get you in the same day. If we can't get you into a physical office, we may be able to do a virtual telemedicine conference for you there and prescribe you the appropriate antibiotics to take that next step. It's very rare, but please feel free if that happens as far as that goes. Again, if you have any questions about any of this entire process, reach out to us at the clinic. That's what we're here for. You can call us. You can text us at the main number. Any of your appointment reminders, you can reply to those, and we'll get back to you that way. You can also just stop into the office, and we're happy to clarify that for you. All right. I appreciate your attention, guys. We'll see you at the clinic.